Now, we just wrapped up that press conference a short time ago, first one of the night. We can expect a few more throughout the night. What are your overall thoughts following that press conference?
The investigative part of this, recovering video, whatever it comes from, neighbors, witnesses, debriefing those who survived this slaughter and getting information out. Again, somebody dressed in full black, which is not an unusual in an active shooter situation. If there's social media posts that they can track down, if witnesses are saying something might have happened at the school that precipitated this, if there's warning signs, all those things have to go into it. So, and you have a multi-agency response here. You have the FBI typically, depending on the motive, is the lead. So you have to assume it's a terrorist event until it's not. It'll be a homicide investigation, so Providence Police will be involved in that piece of it, and preservation of evidence. So making sure that they hang on to all the evidence and they scrub it properly. So again, identifying this person and getting that person, if it's one person, they were pretty clear they think it's one, identify what type of weapon it was so the public can help. And I think that's really important, that the public can, like other unfortunate active shooters have happened nationally, that media as well as people, our citizens, help solve that crime. So you could be, this person happened at 4 o'clock. This person could be in New York City right now. It could be in Burlington, Vermont right now. So they could be traveling somewhere, so other venues have to pay attention. How that happens is the fusion centers. The fusion center Rhode Island will be talking to Connecticut and all the other fusion centers. The longer it goes on, the further this suspect, if it's one suspect, can go. And again, according to police, it's one. But trying to figure out what happened, motive, and identify the suspect, getting that person off the street, and then the rest you can figure out. So it's very, very dynamic. It's a very difficult scene. Active shooters mostly in this country have happened during the daytime. This happened at daylight, day night. And so the search for someone at night, when you're on a college campus, everybody dresses very similarly, dark clothing. And on my way here, some people have no clue this is happening, and people have backpacks and moving around. So it puts the police in a very, very difficult situation, and information has to go out to law enforcement about what a suspect is doing. So if the neighbors have seen someone, it's very possible this person fled. It could be hiding somewhere. It could be in someone's home. You could have a home invasion right now where someone's held hostage. There's so many different scenarios that the police have to pay attention to, and it could happen quickly. It could take a while. So it's long term. The police also have to plan. How would they plan? Shifts. When these officers, they got to go home sometime. Now, most investigators will never go home until they get this right, but you have to plan for that. You have SWAT teams out there looking for this person or persons, and eventually you have to recover and let somebody else come in and take over, and then you have to brief them. So it's a really dynamic situation that happens here, and it's awful any time of year. And you have Christmas time, people celebrating, your phones blow up, where who's coming, going. You have an active presence on this school. This is a massive campus. And Brown University campus, that we talked about earlier, is not just on the east side, it's massive. So my guess, if it's a student, it's someone that knew the building, doesn't mean they know other buildings around the city. So other venues might start considering, their business practice for a day or two until hopefully they get a suspect off the street, because you just don't know. And if someone is willing to do what they did here, there's so much unknown. You got to protect yourself as a citizen.
And we have some people asking us, wondering, since we've learned that the suspect went out through the Hope Street exit of the building, and they're wondering, this was at 4 o'clock. Why haven't police, are they looking at surveillance video in that area? It's a very populated area for that portion of Providence. So to walk us through a little bit about what that part of the investigation could look like right now.
Sure. The chief said at the press conference that they are going to look at ring cameras. Everybody has phones. If you witnessed anything funny during that time frame, if you heard noises similar to gunshots, that has to get out there, and eventually it will. Some people might have heard things and thought it was odd and recorded it, or by accident. You're correct. It had to be targeted to this particular location because they fled on a Hope Street. Hope Street is so active at 4 o'clock and on a Saturday during Christmas time. So that would tell the police a little bit about motive. They don't know the motive yet, but I'm telling you from experience, it had to be directly to that particular area where that person went in. Otherwise, they would have continued to do what they had to do on the street. Unusual for a suspect to escape, in the sense that it has nothing to do with the police. The suspect typically in active shooters engages the police or commits suicide. So this person has probably a different ideology. They wanted to get away, and obviously they've gotten away. So it puts the police, I wouldn't say on the heels, but there's a lot of work to be done in order to, one, bring this person, if they can, to justice, and then try and figure out. And every time you have an active shooter across the country, the idea of catching the person and prosecuting him is great, but it's really a lot of it's to find out why, like the motive. Why would you do something like this? But as you know, there's so many people with so many mental health issues going on, or if it's terror related too, that's something you have to leave on the table, that it possibility that this could be a cell, might not be alone. There may be something happening later somewhere else. You just don't know. And that's the, I wouldn't say the difficult part, but the law enforcement dynamics. Every police department in America, when they see this, has to pay attention, because you don't know if this is a one individual that decided to create carnage, or if it's a calculated terror plot, and why. And so the why is so important, and then, prosecuting the person if and when and if you catch them.
And I want to go back to the shelter in place right now. We said it's just the Brown University area, but what about the rest of the city? I've heard that some parts of the city are still in lockdown. They're enforcing their own lockdowns. What does that look like, message for people throughout Providence right now at this hour?
No, it's a great question. I can't tell you how many people have reached out to me by text or phone calls. Institutions, businesses in Providence, what do I do? My advice is, it's an unknown. If someone is dedicated to what they did here at Brown University, then no one's safe until that person's off the street. That means your home and a business. So it might be time to, let me close my business today. If it's a school, if there's events, athletic events, or a dance, or whatever it may be, it might be time to just cancel it until there's more information. That's why these press conferences are so important, for people to get an update from their leaders. The mayor was very articulate about what happened, and he only can release so much information, because you can remember this is also a crime scene. So law enforcement wants to make sure you're not putting information out that can compromise when someone's arrested for that. So it's really important, and I wouldn't say they're vague, but they're not always going to release information. But as much as they can, they have to, in order to help the citizens, the state, the people that live here, help solve the crime. And I'd be shocked if that's not what helps solve the crime. Somebody somehow sees something here or somewhere else, odd behavior that fits, and that might be a piece of evidence. And again, back to interviewing the witnesses who lived. Now, if that person went into a classroom in the engineering building, the first thing I would think they're going to look at is the classroom roster. Was it a student? Now, students would probably know that, even if the person was dressed in black, the ones who survived. So it's really important to talk to them, and then they'll know, was it a student or was it not a student? It's somebody that's familiar with the building. The chief mentioned that, the provost mentioned that there's a fob access to get in the building. Kids get in with an access code, but that doesn't mean someone can't just walk in behind someone. As you know, it's pretty easy to do that. So access control is not always great in a college campus, not for any reason for college campuses, but you have hundreds of kids transitioning in and out that might not have the fob access but can walk in beside someone, or the door's left ajar and people just walk in. So they'll find out, did this person plan it? Again, were they a student? Were they connected to the school? Or whatever their ideology was. And it's much more dynamic than it kind of appears to the public.